In the early hours of August 2, 1990, while the world slept, an army crossed a border, and history changed forever. Within hours, a small, oil-rich nation vanished from the map. This was not just another Middle Eastern conflict. This was a war that involved 39 countries, reshaped global power, and became the first war ever watched live on television. This was the Gulf War, a war the world thought it understood, but didn't. From the very beginning, this war felt unreal. Viewers watched missile strikes, night vision bombings, and smart weapons on their TV screens as if they were scenes from a video game. That's why the Gulf War earned a chilling nickname, the Video Game War. But behind the green screens and glowing missiles was a brutal reality, political betrayal, economic collapse, and a dictator desperate to survive. To understand the Gulf War, you must understand Saddam Hussein. By the late 1980s, Saddam ruled Iraq with fear, force, and absolute control. He had one of the largest armies in the Middle East, but beneath that strength was a country bleeding economically. Iraq had just emerged from an 8-year war with Iran, a war that brought no victory, only debt, destruction, and desperation. The roots of the Gulf War stretch back to 1979, when Iran's Islamic Revolution overthrew the Shah and brought Ayatollah Khomeini to power. This revolution terrified Sunni-ruled Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq. They feared Shia uprisings inside their own borders. When tensions rose, these Gulf nations quietly encouraged Iraq to attack Iran, and financed the war. On September 22, 1980, Iraq invaded Iran. What followed was one of the longest and bloodiest wars of the 20th century. Chemical weapons, trench warfare, and millions of casualties defined the conflict. The US, USSR, China, and Western powers backed Iraq. But when the war ended in 1988, nobody won. Iraq was left shattered, with $60 billion in debt. After the war, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia demanded their money back. Iraq couldn't pay. Its economy was collapsing. Unemployment surged. Civil unrest spread. Saddam asked for debt forgiveness, and was refused. What made things worse was oil. Iraq reduced oil production to raise prices. Kuwait did the opposite, flooding the market and crashing oil prices. To Saddam Hussein, Kuwait wasn't just a neighbor, it was a provocation. Falling oil prices meant Iraq was losing billions. Saddam accused Kuwait of economic warfare and even claimed Kuwait was stealing Iraqi oil through slant drilling. In Saddam's mind, invasion wasn't aggression, it was survival. At 2 a.m. on August 2, 1990, Iraqi tanks rolled into Kuwait. The invasion was swift and brutal. Within 12 hours, Iraqi forces captured the Kuwaiti parliament. Banks were looted. Nearly $1 billion was stolen. Kuwait's military collapsed. The royal family fled to Saudi Arabia. Kuwait was erased overnight. The world was stunned. No one expected Saddam to move so fast. The United Nations condemned the invasion. U.S. President George H.W. Bush called it unacceptable. The UN Security Council passed Resolution 660, demanding Iraq withdraw immediately. Saddam ignored it. Why? Because Kuwait held over 10% of the world's oil reserves. Kuwait wasn't the real nightmare. Saudi Arabia was. If Iraq invaded Saudi Arabia next, Saddam would control nearly half of the world's oil supply. The US and UK knew this couldn't be allowed. Secret meetings began. Saudi King Fahd made a historic decision, allowing foreign troops on Saudi soil for the first time. The UN imposed severe economic sanctions and launched a naval blockade. Soon, a massive coalition formed, 39 nations, including the US, UK, France, Egypt, and Syria. Hundreds of thousands of troops poured into Saudi Arabia. This operation was called Operation Desert Shield, and it was only the beginning. Saddam believed the coalition would collapse. He thought American casualties would spark protests like Vietnam. He believed no one would dare fight him in the desert. But coalition forces knew something terrifying: Iraq had chemical weapons. The memory of Saddam using gas against his own people still haunted the world. On November 29, 1990, the UN passed Resolution 678, giving Iraq until January 15, 1991 to leave Kuwait, or face force. Diplomacy continued until the last moment. U.S. Secretary of State James Baker warned Iraq, any chemical attack would bring devastating consequences. Saddam refused to back down. On January 17, 1991, the sky over Baghdad lit up. Coalition aircraft launched the largest air assault since World War II. Smart bombs, stealth fighters, and cruise missiles destroyed Iraq's radar, power stations, and command centers. The goal was simple: paralyze Saddam's military before ground troops ever moved. In desperation, Saddam launched Scud missiles at Israel, hoping to break the coalition. If Israel retaliated, Arab nations would withdraw. The U.S. intervened, begging Israel not to respond. Patriot missile systems were deployed. Against all odds, Israel held back. Saddam's plan failed. Unable to stop the coalition, Saddam ordered a shocking act of revenge. Iraqi forces set over 600 Kuwaiti oil wells on fire. Thick black smoke covered the sky. Temperatures dropped. Acid rain fell as far away as Turkey. Millions of barrels of oil poisoned the Persian Gulf, one of the worst environmental disasters in history. On February 24, 1991, coalition ground forces attacked. What was expected to be a long battle ended in just 100 hours. Iraqi troops surrendered en masse. Kuwait was liberated. On February 27, Saddam ordered his forces to retreat. President Bush announced victory. The war was over, but the damage was permanent. Iraq's economy collapsed. Tens of thousands of soldiers and civilians were dead. Saddam remained in power, but weakened. The Middle East was forever changed. And the Gulf War planted the seeds for future conflicts still felt today. Few people know this, but the Gulf War triggered the largest civilian evacuation in history. Over 170,000 Indians were trapped in Kuwait. India launched Operation Airlift, flying citizens home on more than 500 flights. This daring mission later inspired the film Airlift. The Gulf War proved one haunting truth: modern wars aren't just fought on battlefields, they're fought on television screens, oil markets, and political chessboards. Millions suffered. The environment was scarred. And in the end, nothing truly changed, except the world learned how terrifying the future of war could be. If you found this video powerful and eye-opening, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and follow for more deep dives into history.